Hey everybody, welcome back to the Living in Maryland channel where we discuss all things living here in the great state of Maryland. And today we are discussing living in Howard County, Maryland here in 2025 and some of my personal favorite things to do here in the area for people who might be thinking about moving here or maybe new here and just kind of wondering what some cool things to do are. All right, so let's jump right into it. So one of my favorite areas is going to be Old Ellicott City. It's the historic part of Ellicott City that kind of goes right down to the river that separates Baltimore County from Howard County. So this is one of my favorite spots. Just love, especially as a Southern California boy, where so many parts of Southern California are just so new, which is good for its own reasons. But also, so that makes me just fall in love with all the old historic parts of Maryland and just the 1800s, architecture and all those things. So historic Old Ellicott City, definitely a spot that you want to check out. You won't find a chain restaurant down there, which is one of my favorite parts as well. So just a few areas or a few restaurants there that I absolutely love is one is going to be Manor Hill. They got great beer, great food. You got Phoenix Upper Main right there on the main street, which is another great area. They actually moved it up from the base. It was all the way down close to the river, and due to the flooding incidents that they actually had to move it up to the main part. So they gave it a facelift. They, changed up the menu. Gordon Ramsay actually came through a few years ago when they did a show right there in Old Ellicott City, and he, Phoenix Upper Main was one of those restaurants that he kind of helped kind of revive, and it was part of that show. So something cool to check out as well. So Phoenix Upper Main is a great one. Right across the street from Phoenix Upper Main is La Palapa. There are two here in Maryland. You got one down in Laurel, or Maple Lawn rather, and then you've got one in Old Ellicott City. So the Old Ellicott City one is very cool. It's got like its own separate little bar area where it's got like a kind of a dance floor on the weekends and stuff like that, which is something cool and unique that nothing else down there has that. So those are three really cool ones. And then my favorite spot to grab a coffee down there is Georgia Grace Cafe. This is just a really cool little spot. It's got an upper level in addition to the kind of the main level there, but it's just such a cool, laid back vibe. So whether you're looking to just have a morning coffee or whether you're looking to go grab dinner, possibly a drink, Old Ellicott City is definitely a spot that you want to check out. And just like to mention that I am a licensed realtor here in the great state of Maryland. So if you ever have any real estate questions or if you are wondering what it looks like to buy or sell a home here in Maryland, currently right now, feel free to reach out however you are most comfortable, and we'd love to have a conversation with you. All right, next is going to be the Meriwether District in Columbia and Meriwether Post Pavilion. This is located in Columbia, Maryland, right within Howard County. So Columbia has a ton of things, so I kind of had to pick my favorite, and this is definitely my favorite. So one, the Meriwether District is a very new expansion outside of the mall area within Columbia. So you got lots of cool restaurants, you got lots of just a cool urban vibe right there in downtown Columbia. So this is definitely something to check out. Really good restaurants, as I mentioned. It's family friendly. They also got some cool bars and restaurants there too if you're just out looking for a fun night out. So and then the Meriwether Post Pavilion itself, I just absolutely love this spot. I grew up having to drive an hour and a half to go see like a big name concert, right? So just having the Post Pavilion there is so cool. They get big names every year. So like on the docket this year, I was just looking up, they've got Mumford & Sons, Rod Stewart, Counting Crows, Luke Bryan, just to name a few. So they've got big people that come through just right here in the heart of Howard County, located right in Columbia. So if you enjoy that kind of thing, they've got, always big names every year coming through Columbia here. The other thing that I love about Meriwether Post Pavilion is they have events each year. So kind of the bigger ones that my wife and I usually attend and have attended in the past is Wine in the Woods, which is her favorite, and then Hops and Harvest, which is my favorite. So, the beer tasting and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously Wine in the Woods is going to be more tailored to wine. So these are bigger events right there at the Post Pavilion area. And it's just a good time every year. It gets pretty busy, but they got a lot of vendors, and they got it's just a whole day's fun there at those events. So, and they also have other things sprinkled throughout the year as well. So it's just a very cool spot. It's central, right in the heart of Columbia, so very easy to get to. really wherever you're living in Howard County, because Columbia really is kind of the central part of the county. So whether you're coming from Laurel, Elkridge, the western parts of the county, Ellicott City, you're really only about 15 to 20 minutes, probably max, from this part of Columbia. So again, very central, just a lot of cool things to do in this spot. So I would highly recommend that you check it out. All right, so those things were more for my wife and I. So I'm going to jump in. We have 3 little kids now. I know there's a lot of families here in the area, and it's very attractive for families here in Howard County. So I'm going to shift a little bit to kind of kid-friendly things that we really enjoy doing. So first I'm going to mention is Color Burst Park. This is really right within the new Meriwether district. It's very fun for kids. You can go to the restaurants. They've got this big turf field area right out front. There's usually kids just running around, hanging out, so it's easy for them to make friends and just have a good time after having dinner or lunch or something like that. In the summertime, they've got the water fountains right there at Color Burst Park. So we've taken our kids there several times, and people they've got chairs there, but those fill up pretty quick. So you can bring chairs and just kind of hang out, and they've got the fountains going all day long, and kids are just having a blast hanging out there. So really cool spot for the kids as well. That's totally family friendly right there on in Color Burst Park. The other thing is the parks here in Howard County are just amazing. So to name a few, you've got Blandar Park. This is a newer park located right in Columbia. This used to be an old farm that the county bought, and they've transitioned it and made it into this huge park with, I don't even know how many phases, just a ton. So they've got really cool artificial turf fields for baseball and all the different sports, but they've also got a number of playgrounds throughout this park. So it's a spot that you can spend the whole day at. It's a spot you can go to and only be in one section, and the next day or the next week go back and hang out at a totally different section of the park. So it's a really big, expansive park, and it's just fun for the whole family there. Another really cool one is going to be Centennial Park. This is technically Ellicott City, but it's right off of 108, which is the Columbia Ellicott City border. So I would highly recommend that you check that out. Also right next to it is Clark's Ellie Oak Farm. It's another really cool one. I know I've talked about that previous, but that's a really cool family area for kids, where you can go in there and spend do a lot of cool things, hay rides and seeing all the animals and stuff like that. And then they've got a little shop where they do all their own honey and meats and stuff like that. So but Centennial Park, over 300 acres, another county owned and operated, maintained park that I would highly recommend that you check out. It's got a really big lake. They've got trails all around it, so people are running out there, people are picnicking and just kind of hanging out. So that's another really cool park that I would highly recommend people check out. And then you've also got Rockburn Park, another big one in Elkridge. This is one that's got trails. It's got a endless things to do. So if you're in Elkridge or you're willing to make a little bit more of a drive, this is going to be more in the eastern part of the county. Rockburn Park is another area that you want to certainly check out. And then the other thing that I really love is going to be going back to Columbia, right? And you've got Columbia has interconnective trails all throughout Columbia. This is something that's very attractive to people for Columbia. So it comes, through paying a city tax in Columbia that I've talked about in other videos. So I don't want to go down that road right now, but it is paid for through that city tax by about 80% of the property owners in the area. But they've got trails all throughout the town that kind of, sync up together, that you can run on, you can roller skate, skateboard, walk, do whatever you want out there. They've also got little playgrounds all throughout, and these are tied right into the neighborhoods, so you don't have to access them off main road areas or anything like that. They're interconnected and tied right into the neighborhood. So we went on a Saturday. The county parks can get a little busy, so this is a few years back. We went out to Centennial Park, which was really fun, and I usually go during the week, so I wasn't expecting it to be so busy. It was very busy. We were like, all right, let's just go to one of the Columbia neighborhoods here. And so we did that, and we just walked down one of the paths there and just found one of their little neighborhood parks right off of one of the trails, and just kind of spent a good hour and a half playing there. So a lot of people fall in love with Columbia for that reason, but the trails are awesome. You don't have to live there or owned there, to kind of take advantage of that. You can just kind of go, park in a neighborhood. And once you see that little trail, they're pretty easy to see. You can go back there and just kind of, have a good time with the kids and find a little park and just really enjoy the scenery and the nature back there. Columbia is very wooded, so it's going to have that vibe throughout most of the town and on the trails as you're on those. So definitely something I would check out, and that's a great thing to do. That's not it's never really busy. So if you kind of can find, and you can find the map online too, so you can really scout it out before you go. So it's another really cool thing that you can do with the kids and with the family as well. All right, next is going to be Storyville, located in actually Baltimore County. This is located in Woodlawn. It's not too far from the Howard County line. It's about 10 minutes into Baltimore County. But this place is very unique, and we actually, have friends who have go there, fairly regularly from Howard County, just because this is a very unique spot. It's actually tied into the Baltimore, county library there. But it's in Woodlawn. They've got one in Rosedale as well, but the Rosedale one is way further up into Baltimore. So, but the Woodlawn one is pretty close to Howard County. So this is something that we've taken the kids to several times, just because it's a lot of fun. So the way that it's set up is it's a learning area with different like sections and different like rooms. So you've got like a baby garden room, you've got a construction zone room, you've got a mail room, and different things that you can go in there and the kids can play around and do certain things. And they just absolutely love it, just with all the different themes of each room. And it's something that is, like I said, is pretty unique that we haven't found in Howard County, or something super close right here in the area. But it's not too far of a drive. We're in Ellicott City. This is about a 15-minute drive for us. So it's not, terrible. And it is something that the kids absolutely love. So if you Google Storyville, Baltimore, you'll find, again, it's in the county. You don't have to commute all the way into the city, but it's something pretty accessible off of Baltimore's Beltway. And it's something that the kids really love, and something that I would highly recommend that you check out. All right, and then lastly, wanted to mention that we absolutely love getting into the city as much as we can. It's not something that we do a ton, but being just about 20 to 25 minutes from Baltimore is something that's very cool, very accessible. It's not something that we do as much as we thought we would do, or as much as we would like to do, but having it so close is something that's really cool. So it's something that I wanted to mention. More recently, we have done a couple memberships. So we did the Baltimore Zoo, which the kids absolutely love. You can get a family of 4 annual pass for like $200. So that's something that we've been taking advantage of, and something that the kids really love. And the zoo's pretty easy to get to. It's not far off of 83. So commuting wise from Howard County, it's really not too bad. And then the aquarium is something that we've also just recently joined. I think that one's closer to 300. But when it comes to, kids and dealing with the, hot weather in the summer, the cold weather in the winter, it's something that you can really use more year round, just given the fact that it's inside. So that annual pass is something that we find ourselves taking a lot more advantage of, especially, we're going through a heat wave right now. It's just, not fun being outside when it's 95 degrees, or when it's, super cold in the winter. So having those memberships is something that we've found very cool, where you can continue to use these things, especially with the aquarium being inside and not having to worry as much about the weather. So, and then also the Inner Harbor, and then Canton, it's kind of an extension. It's obviously part of the city, but it's just a very cool area. Young adults, you've got young families there too, before the families start making their transition out to the county areas and stuff like that. But it's a very cool vibe if you're looking to get into the city and experience some of Baltimore's restaurants and overall Baltimore vibe. So if you're looking for a specific part of the city to check out, I would certainly recommend the Inner Harbor, and then specifically Canton, to check that out, and you'll get a good feel for what the city has to offer. All right, everyone, thanks so much for watching. If you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and we will see you at the next video.